Hi, everybody. We are in the final stretch, final week of our winter pledge drive. And like I've said before, we need $1,000 a month in new monthly pledges. And so please give me a call, email me, or go to our donations page on our website. All of that information will be below this video on the YouTube page. Just click that, go down and click show more, and it'll give you all that information there. Also, it'll give you information as to where to go to subscribe to our e-newsletter. So, any of you who are not getting our emails during the week, please subscribe to our e-newsletter and stay in touch with us. Now, without further ado, time for this week's video. Okay, today I want to talk about something we've talked about several times over the years, and that's the requirement to believe and about unbelief. Now, in the Gospel Revolution, we don't deny that there ever was a requirement to believe. That would be silly. It's in the Bible. And you're really going to find that requirement to believe was emphasized by Jesus, and we take that very seriously. And you will find that in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And you're going to find a lot of it in John. And the reason being was because Jesus, when he was here preaching, he preached two things. He preached the gospel that the kingdom of God was at hand, and he also came to make his law honorable, as Isaiah said, as he prophesied that he would. He came to make his law honorable. In other words, the Jews were not using it correctly, and Jesus corrected the law, the usage of the law and the teaching of the law, and uh, enforced it, so to speak. And so he did note very much that the requirement to believe was definitely a requirement. However, while he was teaching, while he was here teaching and preaching, that was still under the old covenant. The new covenant had not yet come yet. So he was preaching the law and teaching it correctly because they were still under it at that time. That was the covenant that was in effect. And in that covenant, there was a belief requirement. It was the foundation of that covenant from the beginning with Abraham, as a matter of fact. But there's something interesting about belief. And John even notes it because he mentioned believing more than anything else. And even John said that in the end, nobody believed. And John said the reason for that was because it was prophesied that God would stop up their ears and blind their eyes so that nobody could believe. And Paul also quoted that same passage from the prophets and said, true, this is indeed what happened, that their eyes were blinded and their ears were stopped up so that God could conclude. It was with intent. So he could conclude all were in unbelief and therefore have mercy upon all. So what happened is that Jesus at the cross said, now is the judgment of this world, and he went to the cross. That's where the judgment of the world took place, and unbelief was judged. God concluded all at that judgment to be in unbelief, and then he had mercy upon all. Why? Because of Jesus's faith, of the faith of Christ, the faith of Jesus, as Paul talked about, because of his faith, because of his belief, and because of his obedience unto death, all were concluded in unbelief, so he could have mercy upon all and impute all who were in unbelief with the righteousness of Christ, with his obedience and with his faith. We were accredited with that, even though we didn't have it. He imputed his righteousness unto all who were in unbelief, which was everybody. And then that old covenant was ended and a new covenant began. Unbelief was judged at the cross. The requirement to believe was no longer in effect because the old covenant was now old. The new covenant was in effect, and that was peace through Jesus Christ, and grace through Jesus Christ, and mercy upon all through Jesus Christ. All. Anyway, so yes, unbelief was judged, and God concluded that all were in unbelief, and his final conclusion was he concluded us all in the righteousness of Christ. It's revolutionary. Have a revolutionary week.